I bring this article to you on this platform that I call Article Talk. I will actually not add my own comments, my own thoughts to this one. I got this article from a close friend of mine that wants to enlighten majority of Nigerians and non-Nigerians about the way business people do their businesses in Africa. Article Talk. Welcome back. This is from a very close friend of 50 years. It has been edited to remove piece that could identify the person just for safety purposes. Let me start this way. I traveled to Houston, Texas for an MBA in banking and finance. I returned to Nigeria and started my career with Godwin Emefiele in a merchant bank. I later left that bank for Commercial Bank, which we started from scratch with the late Dr. Pius Okigbo, Chief Chris Ogunbanjo, K.U. Kalu, and Chief Emeka Anyaoku as directors, among others. After some years as a banker, I resigned to start my own thing. I went down memory lane to let you know that I am part and parcel of the banking sector. I know a lot of the rot in the system. Just recently, I was appointed as one of the 5 special investigators by Mr. President to investigate CBN and other government business entities. We commenced work on 1st August 2023, even though we knew the great risk associated with the project. Even with soldiers and police armed to the teeth, we knew that only God could guarantee our safety in a financially corrupt country as ours, where most heinous crime go unpunished. I didn't announce the appointment on any platform I am in because we kept everything on the wrap for security reasons. I only went silent on social media platforms and didn't place or take calls for a while. We have been able to unravel a lot of stealing by our so-called financial gurus in this country. Our report has been submitted in part to Mr. President. Most of it is classified, so I am not at liberty to speak elaborately on it. There is also the oath of secrecy aspect anyways. The greatest enemy of Nigerian people are not the politicians. I will say, even though they too are very corrupt, the bank CEOs have done more harm than good to the economy and our future than you can ever imagine. A few pertinent questions speak to who? The likes of Wigwe, Elumelu, and Jim Ovia. Number 1. How did Herbert and Hai, his partner, establish Access Bank? That is Imokwede. Number 2. How did they swallow Intercontinental Bank, which was far bigger than Access? A case of a tilapia swallowing a whale. How did they pocket Pasha Dozie, Diamond Bank, financial whiskey? Isn't it? I have 4 emojis here, laughing and laughing. Number 3, what role have they played in enriching themselves at the expense of everyone else and reducing the naira to a worthless currency? There are yet many more intrigues on this subject, but let's stop here for now. I have some social media talk on Herbert and Co. I may share one or two subsequently if I don't consider them boring and annoying to recount. Stealing can be direct and indirect. Oftentimes, the indirect stealing are more monumental and devastating. See where Nigeria is today. The picture is that of doom and gloom. We shall all leave this stage someday. While they say, don't talk ill about the dead, I ask, why not? Society gets better when evil is exposed and despised. Bros. Our bros built a first-class university structure called Wiggy University. It's being advertised currently on CNN. The fee are in dollars and as usual out of the reach of the common man. I hear the man loved God and contributed to Christendom. May he find a place in God's bosom. Amen. And for those of us who are still around, may God help us to number our days and apply our hearts to wisdom, as the Holy Book said. The saga of tilapia swallowing a whale, which is a true story of Access Bank acquiring Intercontinental Bank, has been in the public domain since 2012. It is therefore never hidden at any time. I had a hard time contemplating posting that article by Nairaland because of our emotional and sentimental environment Wiggy and his co-travelers in the house of a scam called Access Bank did business. Took advantage of loose system and became rich. It is our environment that is a cesspit of corruption. Let us ask some crucial questions. Number 1, during Soludo and Sanusi's tenure as governors of CBN, mergers and acquisitions in the banking industry were forced because some of the third-tier banks were collapsing, capitalized, or to be acquired by strong ones. From what emerged, Access Bank management approached Intercontinental for a loan to remain afloat and recapitalize. Some of the executives of Access Bank also took personal loans to enhance their position in the bank. Enter a well-connected crook from North Central, whose father had a family bank that was moribund through mismanagement and fraudulent practices, who took loans from the same Intercontinental Bank to purchase 4 properties in Ikoyi. Somehow, Governor Sanusi found Intercontinental Bank the strongest in Nigeria then, with an access base of over 400 billion, to be distressed, despite expert report to the contrary. That is, the bank has no non-performing loans in its book. Then against every other option that could be applied, Intercontinental Bank was considered too distressed and had to be sold. The 11 billion loaned to the North Central guy and 16 billion to Access and sundry loans to its director were part of what was used to justify that Intercontinental Bank was distressed and must be sold off. Who was the buyer? Access Bank, which needed 16 billion to stay afloat. found 50 billion to buy an asset worth 400 billion. It was the greatest heist ever pulled off in Nigerian banking system to date. If Intercontinental Bank will be sold off, should Access buy it? If there is anything called morality, of course, there is no morality in business anywhere. But what about with God? Second, at the point it was declared insolvent and must be sold, one share of Intercontinental Bank was about 7 naira. Access Bank was about 1 naira. One share of Access was exchanged for 20 shares of Access, meaning that a person who invested a life saving to buy 1 million of Intercontinental Bank shares has a 7 million naira investment. He now has 50,000 shares of Access Bank at 1 naira. So 7 million naira investment became 50,000 naira overnight. I had always believed that central banks must protect its investors' fund. Number 3, if you were that man who invested 7 million in Intercontinental Bank, how would you feel right now? Number 4, the year 2005 and 2008 were years that banks and the stock exchange saw very limited supervision and oversight. The Director General was a woman called Okireke Oyueke, who knew next to nothing about stock exchange, parading herself all over the place as a professor, but was eventually unveiled as a fraud. There was too much exposure from the bank in the stock exchange, to the extent that companies without any track record were priced very high. Virtually all the banks, including Intercontinental, became reckless in their exposure at the stock exchange. The bubble burst and most of the banks and insurance company went under. Intercontinental Bank was too strong to be so adversely affected. Erastus Akinbola went to court to challenge the takeover, but the forces against him were too strong. The system had passed to Jonathan then, and the principal officer of Access Bank were all from the Niger Delta area. Number 5, was Wigwe or any bank chief executive in Nigeria a promoter of the Nigerian economy? Absolutely not. Check their books. They are all scammers and money launderers. The big banks are the ones that drove us to the level we are today. Using Access Bank as a typical bank, called their half-year report for 2023. Access Holding PLC, Access.ng. Their HY 2023 interim report, AfricanFinancial.com. Go to page 45. Fair value and foreign exchange gain was 192 billion naira. Go to page 165. Total net foreign exchange gain 240 billion naira. For God's sake, how much more rotten can a system get? Emefiele just helped some to rape the bank, the Nigerian nation, and its hapless citizens. Compound this for the full year 2023 and see what it means. So much for the bank chiefs, executives who are advancing the economy of Nigeria. I am not trying to discredit late Wigwe, but any attempt at apotheosis of any of Nigerian banks' chief executives, dead or alive, is a fraud and a slap on the faces of innocent Nigeria that are daily bearing the brunt of their shenanigans.
Thank you for watching. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing so you won't miss out any of our latest video.